So this tutorial will show you how to use After Effects to create a timecode window burn for your music video playback. First thing we'll need to do is open up After Effects, and we'll need to make sure that we're in the project window by clicking on that. I'm going to double click in that pane, and I'm going to import our MP3 file, and I'm going to drag it into the comp button right there, which will, if I drag it in it properly, it will open up a composition that is the length of the song. Now we're going to want to make sure that our composition settings are right, and because what the two things you will either choose is either HDTV 1080-29/7 or HDTV 1080-24, depending on how you want to finish the project. So one thing you can do now is, now we're going to add the, we've added the music, now we're going to add a timecode window. So we're going to hit Layer, New, Solid, and we want it to be black. So we'll click in this window, and I'm going to drag and make sure it's black. Click OK. And now we've got a black solid layer that's above our MP3 file. Next we're going to come into the Effects panel and type in the word timecode. This will come up, and we will click and hold and drag that to this layer, and then timecode window will come up. If it's not white, you can make it white here. I'll show you how to make it red if you want, but a lot of contrast is good for our evil purposes. So black on white, I'll do that. I'm going to click and hold and drag this to the right to make the numbers as big as they'll let us have it. And then I'm going to click on this little target there and center up our numbers. We want our display format to be SMPTE, and we want our time source to be the composition. Now I'm just going to label this. So layer new text, and before I start writing the text, I want to make sure that it's white, which is this fill color. So if that's not white, just click on it and select the color that you want. And I'm going to title it our song Mighty Keeper. Yeah. M in there. Now if you put it on all caps to do that, that's fine, but you'll find that once you've entered it, that it won't render the image because the caps lock button is on, so I have to undo the caps lock. So I'll click on Mighty Keeper, I'll hit the twirl down, and I'm going to click on the vertical position button and put it up here. I'm going to duplicate this layer by hitting Command D. I'm going to drag that down one. And now I'm just going to hit the letter P to open up our position. And I'm going to drag mine and keep it down here. And I'm going to make sure our toolbar is in. I'm going to double click in here, and I'm going to write 29.97 playback. Alright. So now we can render this to have our file, but I'm going to do one more fancier thing. Before I do that, I'm going to come back into our project panel, double click in that, and I'm now going to import the color bar JPEG that you can get from the content folder in D2L. I'm going to drag that right above the black solid. And now I'm going to we need to add the time code back because the time code is basically embedded in this black solid layer. So I'm going to click black solid, go to effects, I'm going to select time code, hit Command C to copy it. I'm going to now select the color bar layer and hit Command V to paste in our time code. And now I'm going to reposition our 2997 playback so that it's not lost in that white. Okay. And so this all looks good, and now all we have to do is render it. But first, let's save it. I'm going to hit Command Save. I'm going to, much like Final Cut, you want to keep all of your After Effects files in a project folder because they all use reference files. And if you move those reference files, then you'll just have to reconnect them. So for this, I'm going to name it Timecode Tutorial. I'm going to save it. And now all we have to do is render our project. So our composition is highlighted. I'm going to hit Composition Pre-Render. This is where we'll name playback. Tutorial. And so we'll name it. I'm going to direct it to my project folder. And now we have to tell it what type of QuickTime file we want it to be. Make sure that you click the audio box, otherwise it won't render your audio. And we will then choose H.264 for playback. And we will start to render. And it'll take about 10 minutes for this to render. But basically, now that we have this, you'll be able to play this back on your handheld device and be able to later bring this into post and be able to sync it up to your music, which is, basically it has established this time code. And this way you can actually start in the middle of the song, like if you wanted to start with the second verse. And you can easily, in post, find that. All right? Good luck.